Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. We're going to do a detailed review on this Mr. Coffee 12 cup Strong Brew Selector Programmable Coffee Maker. We're going to do an unboxing and then we'll brew a cup of coffee. Get an instruction manual. And we can lift this out. Be careful that the coffee pot doesn't fall out. So it's packaged pretty well. Pull the plastic off, and then there's this big bumper around the coffee pot. Okay, so unboxing is really simple. This looks like a really nice coffee maker. It's got the big lid that opens from the top. This is where you're going to pour your water. Nice big opening. It's got the filter basket. It's got the brew head. You got to remove out of the way. If you forget to put the brew head over the filter, the lid does have a device that closes it, that moves it for you. So if I leave it there and I close the lid, it moves it back. It moves it back where it should be. But I like the brew basket. It's got the pause brewing. It's got that plunger at the bottom. It just goes one way. It's got a nice big word. It says back on it. It does have overflow, so if you fill it up too high, it's going to go out there. It's got a sight window on one side. A little hard to read because it's off to the side a little bit. Display looks nice. It does not have cord storage, but the cord's not super long. I like the coffee pot itself. Looks nice. Burner looks nice. So one thing new I've started, let's go over dimensions. So you got to be able to lift this door off from the top. And you're going to need at least 20 inches. So it'll fit under a standard cabinet. But you're going to need at least 20 inches. You're going to need some room around the side to pour the water in. It's about 8 inches wide. Okay, so I didn't see any water filter. I have this myself, so this does not come. This is the Mr. Coffee water filter fixture. It does not come with this coffee maker, but I want to see if it works. The instruction says it'll work. So you move the brew head out of the way, and Mr. Coffee places their filters right on top of the brew basket. Now it does fit, but one thing, normally the brew basket will have a WF on the bottom. It says water filter friendly. I don't see that anywhere, but it does work, and the instructions say you can use it. It just doesn't, it kind of fits in there a little loose, but I think it's going to work out just fine. Like I said, you have to buy these separately to filter your water. There's no way to filter the water down there. I always like to see what they're advertising. Strong Brew Selector. We're going to try that out. See how long it takes. Brew Later, that's pretty standard. It's programmable to get a cup of coffee in the morning. Grab a cup, auto pause, that's pretty standard. 4-hour Auto-Shutoff, pretty standard. Easy to view, water window, not so much. It's off to the side there a little bit. And lift and clean filter basket, yeah, that's pretty nice. So it takes, it does not come with filters. You have to buy 12 cup basket style coffee filters. And these are usually right next to the coffee makers. 8 to 12 cup coffee maker basket style coffee filters. Okay, so when you first plug it in, it says 12 a.m., but it doesn't flash at you to let you know you lost power. And it does not have backlighting. So the display is pretty easy to see, even though it doesn't have backlighting. That would have been a nice feature. So you've got this Brew Later button, which we're going to program and brew later. But if you want to just brew a pot of coffee right now, you're just going to come up here and hit that. And then we're going to turn it off right now. Hit it again. To set the time, you've got the hour and the minutes. Be careful, because if you bump those buttons, it does change the time. It's got an AM and a PM. That's nice. So it's 5:10 p.m. It's going to flash at you, and then it's going to memorize it here in just a second. There it is. It's memorized. You've got the Strong Brew. So it does a normal brew when the light's not lit. When you press that button, it's going to do a strong brew, which mainly is going to take a little longer to brew the coffee. So when the coffee pot shuts off, you have to select that each time. And that's it. Pretty standard. Okay, so the way you set the Brew Later, you press the button one time, it's going to flash the time. This is the time we want the coffee maker to start. I want to start this at 4:05 a.m. Give yourself about 15 minutes. Then it's going to stop flashing. The Brew Later light stays on. It went back to normal time. I know that this is going to start at 4:10 a.m. in the morning because this light is still on. I don't have to press any more buttons or do anything else. Make sure I've got my water, my coffee in, and this thing's ready to go. If I want to cancel this, I just press the button and it cancels it. And then if I want to just verify it in the morning, the next morning, I'm going to press it one time. It's going to show me the time. Okay, yeah, I like that time. And I just wait. This will revert back to time and the Brew Later light stays on. So anytime you get a new coffee maker, I'm going to run a pot of water through it. And then I'm just going to wash these off with soap and water real quick. And then we'll brew a pot of coffee. Okay, so I'm just going to pour the water in the back. Nice big opening for the water to go into. I like that. We're just going to put this down. Make sure we close the lid. I'm just going to do a brew now button. Like I said, we're just going to run this water through. I don't have any coffee in there at all. So do you ever wonder why coffee pots have this hinge lid? I think it's for filling them up easier. Instead of trying to hit that little hole, it just can go right in. Okay, so now we're going to brew a pot of coffee. So this coffee maker says 1 tablespoon per cup of coffee you're going to brew. So I've got it up to the 12 cup. If you only wanted to do 6 cups or 4 cups, you would just put 4 or 6 tablespoons of coffee in. And then just that amount of water. So you can brew any amount of coffee you want. Just use the tablespoon accordingly. Now, I measured it, so 12 tablespoons into this 1 cup. Looks like about 3/4 of a cup. I use a 1/2 cup. That tastes really well to me. So I've got the standard coffee filter. We're going to put the coffee filter in. We're going to move the brew head out of the way. Put that in, make sure it's up against the walls. And we're just going to dump our coffee in. Move the brew head back. I do like how this has a nice big opening. Coffee pot pours really well. You'd be surprised some of the ones that don't pour well. Put this over here. Yeah. Close the lid. And then we're just simply going to hit the brew now button. So I'm going to, this light lights up. And it has an automatic feature, so if you leave your coffee pot on after 4 hours, it shuts it off automatically. Make sure that mainly turns the burner off so that you don't burn your coffee. So we're going to time it, and we're going to do some taste test and temperature test. Okay, so we're at the 5 cup mark, and it's been about almost 6 minutes. So this is pretty standard, 1 cup per minute of brewing. I want to show you that pause brewing. So it's got this plunger up there. When I take the coffee pot off, I want to grab a quick cup of coffee. I can take it out. It's going to drip for a minute. I can pour me a cup of coffee, and then I got to put it back in there. So that's called pause brewing. Okay, so we're about halfway through. We're on the 6 cup mark. We're going to take a look at the brewing process. So the water does get pretty high up in the filter basket. Hopefully it's not going to overflow. So it's getting towards the end. The water got really high in the filter basket, but it never overflowed the filter. So that's a good sign. So I've been having some issues with Mr. Coffee's overfilling their filter basket and getting coffee grounds in here. I didn't see that happen, but I'll check for coffee grounds to see if they got in. So it does beep at you when it's done. That was a really small, just a couple beeps, not really loud. It's at the 10 cup mark, but there's some water left to drain out of that filter. It's got quite a bit of water left to drain out of that filter basket. Okay, so towards the end of the brewing process, it does get a little louder. This is pretty hot, and you do get quite a bit of steam coming out around it. Okay, so we're at the 11 cup mark. You never get quite 12 cups out of it because you lose so much to steam. And we're at the 13 to 14 minute mark. So that's maybe a minute or two longer. I attributed that to it just takes a while for the water to drain out of the filter basket. Newer Mr. Coffees have just been having problems with the water draining out of their filter basket quick enough. So what happens if it doesn't drain out of there fast enough as it's brewing, the water will raise above that filter and you'll get coffee grounds into your coffee. So this one got really, really high to the top of the filter, but I did not see it go over the filter. Okay, so we're going to see how the coffee pot pours. Pours really well. We're going to check temperature. 168, that's really 69, 7, that's really good. We're going to see how it tastes. That's a pretty good cup of coffee. I like cream and sugar, but tastes pretty good. Let's go over cleanup now. So be careful, this filter basket could be hot, but you're going to move the brew head out of the way. It's got these little ears on here you're going to lift up. I like that it's supposed to stop dripping. It's got that little plunger there. And you can take this over to the trash can and dump it out. So I check for coffee grounds by pouring the pot out over a white plate. I do not see any coffee grounds. Okay, so now I like to go over cleanup. I rinse these out about every third time. I put all 3 of these parts in the dishwasher top rack. I like it's got a nice big opening. Get your hand in there and clean. And there's that plunger. Okay, so I've got my water in. I've got my same coffee amount in, 12 tablespoons. We're going to close the lid. We're going to do the strong brew. So we're going to press that button. That's going to come on first. And then we're going to do the brew now. So I'm going to time it and we'll do some measurements and see how it tastes. Okay, so it's been about 11 or 12 minutes and we're at the 6 cup mark. So what I've noticed about these, when you're on strong brew, you know, of course, the brew time is going to take longer, but it kind of just brews for a little bit, and then it kind of shuts off just a little bit, and then it kind of brews. So it's not really pulsing, but it's just kind of slowing that brew process down. And you can see even on strong brew, the water is getting pretty high up in that filter basket. But it doesn't look like the coffee grounds are going over. So at the 15-minute mark, it beeped at us, but it's still got some water to drain out of that filter basket. So even though it beeps at you, it does have a little bit more to go. Okay, so the strong brew takes about 16 minutes to brew. We're going to see the temperature. Should be the same temperature. Yep, same temperature. I'm not the biggest coffee taster. Okay, that tastes pretty good. To me, it might be just a little bit more bitter, but you know, maybe that might just be the stronger flavor of it too. So again, if you let it sit here, this brew now light's going to stay on, and that's going to keep the warming plate on for 4 hours. So after 4 hours, everything will shut off, so you won't burn your coffee in your coffee pot. So I think it lived up. It has the Strong Brew Selector we tried, the Brew Later, grab a cup, pause, 4-hour Auto-Shutoff. Easy, yeah, it lived up to everything. So this is one of their simpler coffee makers. It looks really nice. It's got a lot of roundedness to it, but it looks really nice. I think it's going to work pretty good. And this was my review. I'm going to do another video on how to clean it. We're going to run some white vinegar through it. So if you could, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.